Hey, I'm back. Always testing the microphone to make sure you hear me. And when Kendall will test it, I'll talk really kind of soft because that's not how you talk. That's the truth. So today, I have really struggled with this lie. Some of you are like, what do you mean? The shame lie. Shame is so hard to define because so many people think, I don't think I feel shame. I don't, and you don't know you feel shame until someone asks you a question and you don't want to answer because you might look stupid, or you answer something and you think, oh, I shouldn't have said that. You constantly reevaluating what you've done. And there is shame in that because we're so afraid of not, remember, being perfect. Remember that standard we got to measure up to. Those people we need approval from. And remember, if you fail, blame game, punishment. Well, shame literally says, I am what I am. I can't not change. I'm hopeless. Why would anybody feel hopeless? Well, things happen to people, all ages and stages and parts of the world, that wounds the heart. And that heart wound actually moves into like shame. The person feels damaged, they feel stupid. Someone told me one time how stupid they felt because of one time they tried to, I think it was writing a word on the blackboard and they spelt it wrong and everybody laughed. Well, that was the end for them. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's different things that go into our heart to make us feel insecure. We just don't want to be involved. We don't want anybody ever shame us again, make us, feel like we're stupid. In college, I was always, when I come out of class, different students would say, hey, next time we meet, will you ask the professor this and that? And I go, well, why don't you ask him the question? Because I was always asking questions. I said, well, we don't want to look stupid. And I thought, wait a minute. I thought asking questions is a sign of being smart because you want to know more, you want to understand. They're like, oh no, we think it makes you look stupid. I'm like, great, so give it to me to do. So, anyways, I'm sure that's not your issue. But as I was struggling with this, I asked the Lord for something fresh. Please, please, Jesus, I need something fresh to some clarity on this shame issue for people going, well, that's not my issue. When I originally was teaching this material to professional athletes, one of the athletes' wives heard me do it twice because she heard it at the baseball conference, then she heard it at a retreats for baseball wives and football players' wives alone. And after she heard me teach this second time, she came up to me and said, this is great. You're doing a great job. I just think you need to look a little more closely at shame. I go, that's my least favorite lie. She says, yeah, but Jackie, I think there might be because there's some shame in your heart. That's why you can't address it with passion. She said, I was praying about it, and it's like I feel like when I look at you, you've been set free, but you're still sitting in jail with your prison clothes on. The door's open, but you're sitting in jail still. I said, really? So I started asking, Lord, please show me where is there shame in my heart? Where, because that word, it just didn't land very well. Took the test, didn't do too bad, and I was very disconnected. Well, on a dateless Friday night in college when I was pretty shocked that I hadn't dated since I'd come. And I kept hearing like this thought of, oh, it's because I'm damaged goods. I didn't have a good background. I'm not like some of these girls that are from missionary homes or pastors' kids or really nice homes. I'm from a most psycho home out there. In fact, some counselors said that we're top 10, the worst family. So didn't lend to a lot of confidence. So there was more shame than I even knew. So on a dateless Friday night, wondering if I'm going to be single forever, the Lord led me to the book of Ruth. And in that book, I met someone named Boaz who treated a girl from the wrong side of the track, especially being a Moabite. She wasn't just a Gentile, she was one of the enemy, in a sense, the enemies of Israel were the Moabites. Wrong side of the track, seen as an enemy. So she gets brought to Jerusalem with her mother in law because both of them had lost their husbands. And everybody would say, oh, the Moabitess that came with Naomi. So the naming, the terms, all bring shame. So she's gleaning one day in the field, and here comes the most eligible bachelor, Boaz. And when he first greets her, he doesn't greet her like a Moabitess, even though the men said she was. He spoke to her with honor and even called her daughter, affection. Seriously? He told her not to go to another field lest men there would hurt her. He said, I've told my own men not to hurt you because a lot of times foreigners and the poor are taken advantage of. Anyways, and then he provided for her, told the men to pull out extra grain. And in that moment, the Lord showed me that he was preparing me, even in a place where I was dateless and I felt inferior. He was preparing me for my Boaz because my damaged heart was bozo bait. I was bozo bait because of my sexual abuse wound in my heart. made me often feel very unworthy when it was not something I volunteered for, but the damage was done. Damaged goods. I admired my husband for years, and I'd always pray, "Oh Lord, I'd love one like Brother Ken." I never asked for Ken. I never felt worthy. He's such a good background, such a good guy. I thought, just give me someone who's been saved out of the craziness like me, who'll understand and won't judge me. See, I was already worried about judgment. There's the shame. And I never correlated all that. So the Lord said, Jackie, I gave you the book of Ruth, and it became a book, a bestseller, Lady in Waiting. I gave you the bozo, no bozo, wait for a Boaz message, because I was healing your wounded heart. Whoa. I was removing the shame. Whoa. Anyways, now to the lie. One of the problems with the lie in this saga, I call it the shame saga, is one of the chapters is what we call the crippling incident. And there's something that happens that cripples that person for the rest of their life. Like sometimes people have accidents when they're younger and they end up with a crippling, part of their body, their physique. Well, a lot of us have things happen young that cripple us with a wound that cannot be seen. It's on the inside. The heart is broken. And when Jesus said he actually says Luke 4, Isaiah 61, he's quoting Isaiah 61, when he says, I've come to heal the brokenhearted. Broken heart, broken means shattered, and shame shatters the heart. So if you came up in a home where there's verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, humiliation, deprivation, even divorce, all those things hurt the heart so deeply. So you're walking around with a heart when you don't even know it. You're walking around with an issue of shame and don't even know you've been crippled by it. Until someone like me comes along and teaches us material, you always have a sense of not measuring up. Even when you've done a great job, you always have this, oh, I could have done it better. Oh, I could have been more approved. Oh, I could have done it. It could have been better, brighter. Oh, my goodness. The thing with people who have this damaged goods mentality, it follows them everywhere. Like when I was at college, I won Sweetheart Queen, and I sat down on the throne. They sit on a throne. They give you all these roses. They put a crown on your head. It's kind of embarrassing, but this is years ago, dark ages, but I won. And the minute I sat down, this thought went through my mind. If they knew how damaged you were, you would have never won. You know who said that? The liar. Remember I told you about the liar who distributes these lies to mankind? And immediately I said, you can go back to where you came from. I'm enrolled in the new creature program. Any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. All things are passing away. Behold, all is becoming new. You're speaking to a princess right now. Well, I walk back to my dorm. Ken walks me back. I had just started dating him. He walks me back to my dorm. And on my door, I noticed all these cards. And my fellow dorm mates, they're all left me congratulations. Every note on my door said, you didn't deserve to win. Ooh, that would do something for your heart. You want to talk about the power of people's tongue to shame someone who's already been shamed. I've already been punched in the heart before. And now another boom. Be careful. Don't be an instrument of shame. Don't be used by the enemy. He has to use someone's mouth. Don't be the mouth that shames other people. It's devastating. This shame almost calls like a paralysis. And the past is always stepping on the present. It happened to you in the past, but it's stepping on the present. On the heels of the present, you're getting flat. It's on the back of your shoe. Constantly shame. Oh yeah, if they knew this. Oh yeah, if they knew that. I remember I was dating a boy in college. Before I came to college, at a college, our local college, where I lived before I went to college. I was just working full time, but somehow met him. He asked me out, and he said his grandparents were coming to town. He really wanted me, and he loved them so much. And one meal with them. A day later, he breaks up with me, and he teared up. And I said, I don't understand what happened. He said, well, my grandmother said you're definitely not material for a pastor's wife or someone in ministry, because he was training to be a pastor. She judged me over one meal, that I was not worthy. How ironic. When I look at all that God has done in my life and how I was judged as unworthy, that'll do something for your soul. Somebody else was talking about, I asked one time, how come all these men, when they sit in Bible studies, they don't speak up when, you're supposed to weigh in on the passage and the guys all sit there silent? I was driving home. I said, how come you think men stay silent so long? Well, he gave me two answers. One is, well, most of the women answer everything, so the men just say, hey, have at it. He said, but another reason is a lot of times men are worried about how they will look if they don't say the most accurately theological response. So see, they're self-judging themselves, and they're paralyzed by their own prospect of being shamed or embarrassed. That paralyzes them. How amazing. I think about people who are really quiet, never want to talk. Yeah, because if you don't say anything, you can't get judged for anything. But you get judged for being silent all the time. Oh, there's no winning here. One thing about the paralysis of the past also, everybody's so scared to look at their past, especially if they had a tough upbringing. Everybody's like, oh, please don't let me go there. Please. Listen, you bury the past, you bury the hope of healing. God wants to put those pieces back together, but it's like you put all the pieces in an envelope, and He wants to say, man, look at that envelope. No, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to bring that up. Don't bring that up. Seriously? Anyways, someone who has the courage to give their envelope to Jesus, let them start piecing together the broken heart. And sometimes it takes different things you'll go through. I went to a sexual abuse seminar. The teacher for 5 days was teaching, Dan Allender, so wonderful. He was talking about correlating when you've been shamed, all shame leads to what? Addiction. Where do you go with your pain? He said to the audience, we all have to decide, what do we do when we're in pain? People do mall therapy, food, drugs, alcohol, porn. I mean, name the list. Wherever you see an addiction, you trace the fuel line and start praying for the shame to be revealed because it's feeding that fuel line. Some of you are like, what? Have you ever heard a person that's constantly, we call them self-deprecating, they're always putting themselves down and they make a joke about it? Robin Williams was very good at that. He was not always attacking other people, he was very self-deprecating. And a lot of people who have shamed hearts, they humorously covered it up. And I've listened to people who joke about different things, and I think, oh, Lord, heal their heart wound. Heal that shamed heart. Anyways, another aspect of damaged goods mentality is you'll do something wonderful, but if one person, like let's say you were chosen, this is hypothetical, to make, this causes people to lose their creativity. They're asked to make up the centerpieces for a women's event, and men are going, where is she going with this? So the woman makes a decision on what she's going to do with the centerpieces. She does like, she's asked to do 30 tables. That's a lot. But she makes a decision, has someone come help her, and they're setting them up. It just takes one person coming in. Remember the approval addict, measure, you got to have certain people's approval, measure up. One person says, oh, I don't know that I would have used that much yellow. That's all they have to say. And that creative person's like, you want to ask them for next year help? Watch, they close it down. Put it away, because they can't bear to think they failed just because someone thought the color was too much of yellow. And what people like that, they open their mouths, always have to comment rather than great job, beautiful job. I always say beautiful job because I know what it feels like when someone picks at what you've done. When you've done the best you knew how, you use your creativity. I know people who are so creative who will not let you see the wonderful things they've done because they don't want to be criticized, because the shame in their heart from something previously that happened keeps them from wanting to get shamed right now. Previous incident holds them hostage right now. There are so many people held hostage today, emotionally and spiritually, because they impact each other. I used to think the certain people that didn't want to get involved, didn't want to help out in ministry. I mean, even basic things, bring something to eat, to share with other women. Oh, I'm not that good of a cook. Well, go to Publix and buy something and tear the wrapper off and put it on a nice plate. You don't have to tell somebody you didn't make it. I mean, we're so, I used to think people were just not in love with Jesus and selfish because they didn't want to open their homes up, didn't want to participate. Then I began to study shame and realize, wow, what are they hiding in their homes? I know a woman that never wanted to be a part of Bible studies because she was afraid that somebody might ask to use her home, and she was embarrassed by some of the chaos and pain and insanity that was in her home. It wasn't even just her home. Now, some people are so worried about their home not looking as perfect as Martha Stewart, they won't even reach out. What's that from? Shame. Isn't that sad? Ugh. It's so interesting how many people quit a job, leave a profession. I was told years ago by some missionaries from South American Mission that many missionaries end up coming home. And it's not because the work was so hard they had to come home, that relationally they couldn't handle some of the people they were working with. And shame makes you like you're walking on eggshells all the time. And you're if anybody says anything negative, it is people who have shame in their heart. We won't warn you. They can't handle criticism. How do I know this? Because my husband has spent his life flabbergasted. We'll see if my microphone works, because the loudest military helicopter is coming right behind me right now. As everybody looks, here it comes. Here it comes. Let's see if it works. Oh, that's a police helicopter. Oh, well. Hope they catch who they're looking for. Anyways, And it caused me to forget my thought. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. It couldn't have been significant. Oh, back to shame. Just one more thing. I used to think people don't participate, they don't have people in their homes, blah, 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 because they don't want the shame. See, something in their path, when you're shamed, you feel unworthy. They're self conscious. Have you ever met people who are overly sensitive and self conscious? That's a shamed heart. I know someone who's got a spouse really struggling, and all I've prayed is reveal the shame, because the shame is the fuel line to the addiction. They didn't just lay in bed when they were 5 years old and go, I want to grow up and be an addict. My siblings never wanted to be addicts. Two of my siblings never wanted to take their lives, but they were so damaged by what they went through by my father's hand. 7 children damaged through sexual abuse. And the damaged goods left an imprint of shame that they never felt worthy, never measured up. So no wonder they're anesthetizing their pain, because they don't want to they don't want the memories. They don't want to think about it. That's why anyone who lets Jesus heal the past has learned how to live the Ephraim way of Genesis 41:52. And he named his son Ephraim because God had made him fruitful in a place of suffering. And shame caused interior suffering. But God can bring good out of evil. What people intend for evil, God can bring about for good. Genesis 50, verse 20. Romans 8:28. Please let Papa God begin to put the broken pieces in your heart back together. Have the courage to hand him the envelope where all the broken pieces are, so he can put your heart back together, day by day, step by step. In Jesus' wonderful name, how I thank God for his word that heals the brokenhearted. Okay, we'll finish next time. We're going to look at one of the most obvious signs of shame is body dysmorphic. You guys can all Google. I had to Google it one time when someone said to me, oh, you've got an issue with body dysmorphic. I'm like, what? So we'll discuss that in the second half of this shame saga next week.